Welcome to Learn More. I want to really appreciate you all for your comments, for your participation in our previous lessons. I really commend you and I'm happy you are following through. I will pray that we will be able to continue in this and get more lessons done as God help us. In the previous lesson, we learned about the techniques to educational psychology. We learned about the learner, we learned about the learning process and the learning situations. So these are the three points under the techniques to educational psychology, and I explained that the learner is the most important factor among the three listed, because if there is no learner, there won't be a learning process and there won't be a learning situation. So the learner is the most important among the three factors mentioned. So we also looked at the factors that affect the learner, and we looked at the factors like the school, the learning environment, the community, the class setting. So these are the factors that we looked at that affect the learners. And I told you in the last lesson that any of these factors, if they directly influence the learner, for example, the class setting, if the class setting is not well ventilated, if you don't have a good light, you know, the learning process and the learning situation might also be interrupted somehow, and it will reduce the quality of the learners. So in this lesson, we are looking at the importance of educational psychology to teacher education. So if you are not conversant with the previous lesson, or you have questions or you have suggestions in the previous lesson, do good to send us a mail, do good to chat us up on WhatsApp. Get your information down to us and we will try our best to respond back. So I said now we are looking at the importance of educational psychology to teacher education. At the end of this lesson, the learners should be able to state the importance of educational psychology to teacher education. So our objective for this lesson is that you should be able to state four importance of educational psychology to teacher education. You should know why you are studying educational psychology. You should know the importance of educational psychology to you as a teacher or as a pre-service teacher, or probably you are not a teacher, just know the importance of educational psychology. So, importance of educational psychology to teacher education. In education, the following characteristics must be seen. In education, there must be a teacher, there must be a learner, there must be what to teach, there must be how to learn, there must be when to learn and where to learn. So these characteristics are listed, must be seen in education. Somebody must be there to pass out the information to instruct the learner, and there must be a learner who is ready to receive information from the teacher, ready to receive instruction for the teacher, who conditions himself to the learning situation and the learning process. And there must be what to teach, the curriculum, the content of the lesson. And there must also be how to learn, where to learn, and when to learn. In our school setting, we don't go to school majorly on Saturday, on Sundays. Those 2 days are really a off time, so that they are not school days. So those days are not days when we learn, except for maybe other programs, remedial programs that are on weekends. But we know that the school curriculum accommodates Monday to Friday as the period when learning takes place. So there must be when to learn, and there must be where to learn. Where to learn is maybe the class setting, the classroom where the lecture hall where learning takes place. So there must be where and when to learn. The importance of educational psychology to teacher education are the knowledge, skills, and competencies a pre-service teacher or a teacher in training gains by studying educational psychology. So the importance of educational psychology to teacher education, or to pre-service teacher, or to a teacher in training, they all mean the same thing. Either you say to teacher education, or you say to a pre-service teacher, or you say to teacher in training, they are all the same thing. We are saying the same thing. So I said the importance of educational psychology to teacher education, they are the knowledge, they are the skills and competency a pre-service teacher or a teacher in training gains by studying educational psychology. So what are the skills, what are the knowledge I would gain, what are the knowledge you would gain when you study educational psychology? Now we are studying educational psychology. I can ask you, what have you gained from the lessons we have been studying? We have been studying so many lessons now. What have you gained? At least there are some concept that is being exposed to you now. At least you could understand what motivation means, that there is something called educational psychology. You could understand psychology, the meaning of psychology. You could also tell that psychology has so many branches. You could understand that you need to appreciate every child's intelligence and their rate of assimilation. There are so many benefits of educational psychology to a pre-service teacher. So that is what we are looking at. So some of these importance includes: number one, educational psychology gives detailed knowledge of child development. Educational psychology gives detailed knowledge of child development. Educational psychology informs the teacher in training with the comprehensive detail on the process of child development. Educational psychology informs the teacher that a child can develop physically, intellectually, emotionally, socially, and in other areas of life. This knowledge helps the teacher to treat and see the learner as individual with some peculiarity. So the knowledge of educational psychology gives the teacher a comprehensive detail on the process of child development. If you have been following the previous lesson, we have looked at in some time we have looked at child development. I told you that the development process starts from the conception to birth and so on, like to early childhood, late childhood, you have your adolescence and so on. So you could understand the stages of child development and know the proper education you are supposed to give to that child at that level of its development. So you would not give a training that you are supposed to give to a child in early childhood. You won't be giving that training to an infant. So you could understand the process of child development so that you can know how you can treat children across those ages. So this is one of the importance of educational psychology to teacher education. It also informs the teacher that a child can develop physically, intellectually, emotionally, and otherwise. So that you could be able to appreciate the peculiarity of individuals. You could be able to appreciate the peculiarity of the students in your class and make them learn better. Number two, educational psychology helps to cater for individual difference. Individual difference. It helps to cater for individual difference. Individual difference are the characteristics which individuals manifest that are unique and varies from one another, and varies from other individuals. So some characteristics that some individual possess that makes them unique and different from other people. Educational psychology helps the teacher to understand that every member of his class has a lot of areas of uniqueness when compared to other members of the class group. Educational psychology exposes the teacher that individuals have a lot of differences in them in terms of sex, age, interest, opinion, socio-economic background, religion, and so on. Educational psychology inculcates the teacher with sound knowledge in making appropriate learning situation to suit the learner's difference. So, educational psychology in general caters for individual difference. You are trying to understand the children, you are trying to understand the students, the learners in your class as a pre-service teacher or as a teacher in training. You are trying to understand the differences between these learners and how you could be able to fit in so that these learners can learn very well. Let's take for example that you have some learners that have a low intelligence quotient and some other learners that can assimilate very fast. You could be able to detect and say, oh, these people can really assimilate fast while these other people could not. So you could devise a different means of teaching those people that could not assimilate faster so that you have a better class. Number 3, educational psychology helps the improvement of an appropriate curriculum. Educational psychology is very relevant for the design and implementation of appropriate curriculum which correspond to the age and different aspects of child development. The knowledge of educational psychology assists pre-service teacher to develop appropriate curriculum which cater for learners with special needs. So we have learners with special needs. They are not the normal learners we have in our classes. Some of them have some autistic characteristics. So we can develop good curriculum to suit this kind of learners if we have them around us. Educational psychology helps for effective testing, measurement, and evaluation. Educational psychology informs the teacher about the different types of tests available and the method of evaluation to be used. Educational psychology helps the teacher understand which test to be used for a particular purpose, when to test the learners, how to test the learners, how to construct a good and error-free test, the best instrument to be used for evaluation, how to score and grade tests, how to analyze test results, how to predict and pass meaningful and objective judgment based on results. So educational psychology helps for effective testing, measurement, and evaluation. It gives the teacher the ability to construct a good test and know when to test the learners and know how to go about administering the test. It also gives the teacher the good knowledge about measurement and evaluation, measuring the intelligence of the student, measuring the test result, and evaluating it, appropriate evaluation during testing. So, educational psychology assists the pre-service teacher for effective testing, measurement, and evaluation. Educational psychology assists the pre-service teachers for effective guidance and counseling. Guidance and counseling is one of the major objectives of educational psychology. Guidance and counseling is one of the major branch of educational psychology, while educational psychology is one of the major branch of the general psychology. You know, we started by defining psychology, then we went into the branches of psychology. We looked at clinical psychology, environmental psychology. We looked at clinical psychology, we looked at educational psychology, we looked at work psychology, we looked at so many branches of psychology. So educational psychology is just a branch of psychology in general. So that is what I'm trying to say here. Educational psychology exposes the teacher to various ways of handling issues in the school, with the approach of guidance. Guidance, counseling. Guidance means you are trying to direct a child in the way it should go. You are trying to direct a child on how he should learn. And you are counseling, you are also giving the child advice. You are giving the child good knowledge in order not to make a mistake. So educational psychology makes the teacher understand appropriate counseling to give in solving educational issues. So number 6, educational psychology teaches about meta-memory. Meta-memory. Meta-memory refers to the general understanding of human memory and how it works. Meta-memory refers to the general understanding of the human memory and how it works. Educational psychology makes the teacher realize that every student have a memory, and therefore every student have the ability to learn. Every student have the ability to learn. Be it an autistic child, be it a special child, be it a normal child, be it a child that has a very high intelligence quotient, or a child with a low intelligence quotient. Every child has the ability to learn. And we have 3 domains in learning. We have 3 domains in learning. We have the cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor. So in learning, at least one of each of these domains that I mentioned must be developed. So some learners have the ability to develop very fast in their cognitive domain. So the fact that they develop very fast in their cognitive domain and they could not develop very fast in their affective or psychomotor domain does not mean that they don't learn. And the fact that some other learners could develop very fast in their psychomotor domain and have deficiency in developing their cognitive domain does not mean that they are not learning. We need to understand the domains of learning that these learners could develop so quickly, so that we can know the appropriate learning style to use for them. So educational psychology teaches about meta-memory. The knowledge of educational psychology helps the teacher to the knowledge of educational psychology helps the teacher not to see any student as a dunce, instead suggesting ways of helping learners to improve their memory capacity. So what I'm saying in essence is that every learner can learn. Every learner can learn. No matter the challenge the learner is facing, every learner can learn. So we as pre-service teachers, or we as teachers, we should be able to understand that every learner can learn. And it's not the fault of the learner that he or she is maybe an autistic child or a special child. It is not the fault of the learner. So we need to understand that and adapt methods that could be used for proper learning for these learners. Educational psychology teaches how memory works, the different parts of the human memory, how remembering takes place, why individuals forget, how remembering can be effective in learning. So all these mentioned are the importance of educational psychology to teacher education. So if you are a pre-service teacher, or you are studying anything related to education, this is the importance of educational psychology to you as you study. In summary, we have learnt about the importance of educational psychology to teacher education. We learnt that educational psychology gives detailed knowledge of child development. Educational psychology helps to cater for individual difference. Educational psychology helps the improvement of an appropriate curriculum. Educational psychology helps for effective testing, measurement, and evaluation. Educational psychology assists pre-service teachers for effective guidance and counseling. Educational psychology teaches about meta-memory. So, in the next lesson, we will learn about human development. See you in the next lesson.